There's a lot of misconceptions that Brexiteers have about people like me who are Remainers, and we're not against trade deals. We're absolutely not against trade deals. What we are for are good trade deals, deals that will actually be a benefit to the UK. And here's the thing, us being in the EU, being in the single market and customs union was a good deal. Over half our trade was and still is with the EU. Trade gravity is a thing. It does not make sense to just ignore our largest trading partner in favor of trying to do deals with America, the Pacific Partnership, Japan, Australia. Those deals are with countries that are thousands of miles away, whereas we have countries on our doorstep that we can do deals with now that will be of a benefit to our economy. And one of the things I've always brought up, because this is something we have yet to really experience, but we're going to start feeling this experience very quickly because the Brexiteers' desperation to do trade deals. They have done trade deals at breakneck speed. A normal trade deal, takes about 7 to 8 years to negotiate. But you've had people like Liz Truss basically speed running trade negotiations and doing them in 6 months. To where, if you may remember, we covered what the Australian reaction to these from their trade delegates. They were shocked that the UK was giving up so much for next to nothing in return. And I always want to make the point that if you look across the world, outside the EU, trade deals are big parts of countries' politics. They haven't become part of our politics yet, but trust me, they will. And all these absolutely ones that we are signing at breakneck speed to try and prove that we are some sort of magnificent trading power, they are not turning out to be very good. The Australian one is awful. The New Zealand one is awful. The Mexico and Canada ones that we are currently trying to sign at the moment is potentially going to trigger a massive rebellion led by Grant Shapps. The Pacific Partnership deal is really bad with the kind of things that being in that deal allows corporations to be able to sue us if we decide to do a regulation that is for, environmental benefit or consumer protection. There's so many bad things that these deals are going to sort of spring from, and it is all going to be the fault of the Brexiteers. So today we're going to have a look at yet another potential trade deal, another big deal that the Brexiteers are desperate to do, and that is, of course, with India, because they are desperate to do one with India. And this is going to have big, big ramifications, because when we look at it, it is going to absolutely wipe out thousands of jobs from all the areas that voted leave. And at the end of it, that's not what enough people voted Brexit for. But this is the reality of this. And we explained this back in 2016, that we are not this big, all-powerful trading nation that Brexiteers made us out to be. They are really looking back on a country back when the British Empire was around, and a system that does not exist, and we should not, in a month of Sundays, ever consider to bring back. So we're just going to go over this London economics piece about this, because this is prime example of what we are talking about. But before we do that, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a rotation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. So over we go to London Economic. The title of "The Brexit Deal Could Wipe Out Thousands of Jobs in Leave Voting Areas." So a post-Brexit deal struck by Boris Johnson could end up wiping out thousands of jobs in leave voting areas. Ministers have now been warned. According to reports in the Eye, the former Prime Minister's move to axe tariff on imports of processed rice could decimate the British rice milling industry, which is thought to be worth up to £1 billion. The sector has already been dented by Brexit, losing nearly half of its exports to the EU since the UK left the single market 2 years ago. What a surprise! What a surprise! Of course. Um, this has been happening to all these companies. Now, these 11 mills and 5 factories producing ready meals from imported basmati rice face ruin if the UK bows to Indian pressure to lift tariffs on the processed items, the industry says. And the vast majority of these are in leave voting areas. The deal was announced by Johnson during his trip to India for Diwali. Of course, standing alongside India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, he promised that the deal where Delhi would remove tariffs on UK machinery and apples, adding that in turn, we can lift the tariffs on your rice and textiles. These very generous concessions set alarm bells ringing in the industry, with many expressing surprise that the PM was willing to just give it all away. The government officials have acknowledged privately that the issue is on the table and will carry concerns into a 10th round of negotiations during to take place next month. There are also concerns over the environmental costs, with experts saying that the government's ability to keep food containing a legal high level of pesticides off UK shelves is highly questionable. So there you have it. There is unbelievable downsides of doing this deal. But this is the reality of doing trade deals. And yet the Brexiteers and people like Brexiteers just said, oh no, it's easy. But here you have Boris Johnson, once again, giving it all away. And, you know, now you've got, of course, Kimmy Badenoch. Is Badenoch really going to go to bat and try and save these places? And we always said, if you do these trade deals, it is going to have massive consequences. Just because you do a trade deal with someone there, what happens to your local producing industries? Because you'll massively undercut them. So, you know, we warned time and time again what the reality was of doing these trade deals. And yet, this is the reality of doing those trade deals. It's exactly what we warned about. Do the Brexiteers care? Of course not. They never cared. And of course, people like Johnson, Farage, and etc. will just go on about their merry way. Probably because they're going to lose their seats very soon, and potentially it's not going to be their problem, but they will happily snipe from the sideline shouting, oh, well, you're not doing Brexit right. Because that's about to become the new cottage industry of people like Boris Johnson. Absolutely. But yeah, I said it at the beginning and I'll say it again. Trade deals, when you look at them in every other country, are big factors in politics. They haven't been in the UK for decades because we've been in the EU. And now they're going to come into play. And the Brexiteers and all the Conservatives are not going to be very happy about what these trade deals start to do to their prospects. Because remember, they're signing them all willy-nilly without any consequences, without any thought. And if you thought it was hard to get out of the EU, wait until you see how hard it is to get out of a trade deal. So we've got some serious concerns coming up, very serious concerns coming up, especially with doing these types of deals, because they risk getting rid of thousands of jobs. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, please remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe on your way out. And of course, until then, we'll see you all next time.